Hi, this is Joe again with another movie review, and the subject for this video is I'm going to be discussing the Beverly Hills Cop movie series. And of course, all three films, so Eddie Murphy as the star of the film. And of course, the movie series, only three of the characters from the original movie came in with all three films. Of course, it's Eddie Murphy, of course, played the title character Axel Foley. You had Judge Reinhold, who played Billy Rosewood, and you had Gil Hill, who played Inspector Todd. Matter of fact, the guy who played Inspector Todd for the three films was the police consultant. Because every time we do a movie, when there was a movie being done by the police or military or whatever, there was always some consultant. And Gil Hill was a police consultant because he was an actual police officer. And of course, I guess they liked him enough and they gave him this part. Well, the first film came out in 1984, and of course, was Eddie Murphy as a detective Axel Foley, who was a Detroit cop. And in the beginning of the film, he almost got himself fired because he illegally tried to set up these criminals in a cigarette bus for illegal cigarettes, or with fake text stamps on, or counterfeit cigarettes, I should say. I'm talking about the actual cigarettes, not marijuana. And of course, the whole thing goes awry, and he almost got fired for it. So when he gets home, he found out that his house was broken into, and it happened to be an old friend of his. And he found out that he was just got out of jail, and he showed him what he got was some German bearer bonds. And his friend says, "Did you steal these?" But actually, of course, he denies it. But we all know by the look of the guy's face, and it was played by James Russo, Axel's friend. And he says, "No, we all know he stole it." Then after a while, after they went out drinking in a bar, we come home to Axel's apartment, and they killed, and Axel got knocked out, or Eddie Murphy gets knocked out, and they killed his friend. So of course, during the time when they were in the bar, he gave him information where he was working in Beverly Hills for the last 6 months after he got out of jail. And another old friend named Jenny Summers got him a job working as a watchman, as a security guard in this warehouse. So he sees all this stuff. Then you find out what's going on throughout the course of the movie, what the villain was doing. But as his friend gets killed, he does not give, for some stupid reason, Eddie Murphy does not give this information to his boss, saying, "Look, I got this information that he was working in Beverly Hills in this warehouse, so maybe there's some shenanigans going on in this warehouse." And he doesn't tell it to his boss. He said, "Look, he's a friend of mine. I want to help investigate this." And Inspector Todd says, "No way. You're not going to do it because you're in too much trouble as it is. I'm going to partner with the guy who you assigned the case to." And he says, "Forget it." So he says, "I want to take some." He bullshit the guy, saying, "Look, I want to have some vacation time. I want to take my vacation now." So instead of coming out, he uses his vacation time to investigate the murders. He goes to Beverly Hills, meets up with his old girlfriend, or his old childhood friend. Really, not really girlfriend, childhood friend. It's played by Lisa Elbacher. I think that's how her name is pronounced. Of course, in the scene you see Watson Pinchot. Of course, 2 years later, will become a real international star for being on the television show Perfect Strangers. Matter of fact, the character that Watson Pinchot plays in Beverly Hills Cop was the inspiration for for the Balky Bartolomew's character in the Perfect Strangers television show. It's because another happened to make another 2 years later. So he meets her with his girlfriend, with his girlfriend, and tells her that the guy was killed. And then he tells her, "Oh, Rocky told me that you got him a job." I said, "Yeah, the guy who owns this warehouse did it for hire him for as a favor to me." And then, of course, for some reason, I don't know how in the world they did this, but he finds out the name of the guy whose name is Victor Maitland, and for some stupid reason, all of a sudden you see Eddie Murphy in the gallery. The next thing you see him is Eddie Murphy's character is in this warehouse, is in this office building. And of course, this is one of the better scenes in the film where he gets thrown out the window because he was interrogating Victor Maitland. And then of course Victor Maitland presses a button and 6 guys come in and throw him through this window. And which is one of the best scenes in the movie, when he gets thrown out the window. And of course that's when the cops show up. And of course they realized that he had, when the cop was patting him down, they found out that he had a gun on him. And of course they knew he was right. And then of course he says, "Well, what's the charge?" He said, "Carrying a concealed weapon and disturbing the peace." Disturbing the peace, he got thrown out of a window. What are the charges if someone gets thrown out of a movie car, huh? Jaywalking? And that's also, and that's when you meet the other 2 guys that's in this trio. John Action, who played Detective John Taggart, and then his partner was played by Judge Reinhold, which was Billy Rosewood. And you had so there's the 3 main guys here. But unfortunately, the rest of the movie, Rosewood and Taggart chase Eddie Murphy around through the whole movie. And he said, "Oh, what are you bothering this guy for?" And of course, Eddie Murphy never gave him an explanation. And then of course, by the end of the film, he does give him an explanation. But through the whole time, you have all these 12 gags that all these cards that Eddie Murphy pulls on people that they get into someplace. Like he goes to this bonded warehouse. Because I don't want to give too much away for those of you who never saw the movie. Found out that Victor Maitland was not only dealing in smuggling in German barrel bombs, but was also smuggling in cocaine through this warehouse where this is where packages from overseas get inspected by get inspected before it comes into the country by the customs service, by customs. Customs inspects these packages and then allows the packages to come into or go to wherever it's supposed to go to. And so what Victor Maitland's guys do is they go into the warehouse, get the packages, take out the bonds or the drugs, and then they send it back to, and then they bring it back to the bonded warehouse. And of course, Eddie Murphy tells the cops all this. Of course, the guy who's in charge, played by Ronnie Cox, and he's played by his name is Bogomil, Lieutenant Bogomil. And after he bugs Maitland for the third time, the second or third time in the film, and he ends up getting arrested the second time. Because Bogomil says, "Why are you bothering the guy?" So then, about 3/4 of the movie, that's when he finally tells him, "Look, I have my friend who was killed, and I feel that Maitland had him killed because my friend had these bonds, the same type of bonds that Maitland was smuggling in. And not only that, but he also feel he had drugs, smuggles and drugs into the country." And he says, "Oh, you witnessed all this?" I said, "Well, everything except for the drugs. There's coffee grounds all over the warehouse." Of course, it's one of the secrets of the movie. He says, "Oh, I said, what do you mean coffee grounds?" And I said, "Well, sometimes drugs were packed in perfect balance. They throws off the scent of the drugs to the dogs, and the police dogs. And of course, eventually, at the end of the film, they go back to the warehouse to get the drugs, and they found a crate with drugs in it. But Eddie Murphy and the girl, her name is Jenny Summers. They got caught by Victor Maynard's goons, and of course, that's when Billy Rose would say, said, "Oh, something's going on." So he goes in because they took the girl out, but they didn't take Eddie Murphy out. So I figured, oh, he must be, in trouble. Saves his life. And then they go to Victor Maynard's house, and that's when they had a big shootout. The three guys, of course, one of the funny parts of the shootout is when they dive over this little brick wall. All three of the characters, oh, Jesus Christ, getting shot by machine guns. Now, of course, guess what happens? Of course, Victor Maynard gets shot at the end of the film, and Bogomil gives a phony baloney story to the police chief, and of course that's when he gets escorted out. Eddie Murphy not Bogomil. John Ashton and Judge Reinhold's characters escort Eddie Murphy out of town, and that's how the movie ends. But the first film became a pretty big success, and of course one of the big successes of the film was the soundtrack, especially the theme music. And of course, had a couple of Patti LaBelle songs in there, New Attitude, and got the other song, Rip It Up. They had a Pointer Sister song in there, and the soundtrack helped sell the movie. That's about every movie or every big hit movie in the 80s had a soundtrack to it. You can't say that with any movies today. What's the biggest movie soundtrack of today? Nothing. Well, like I said, the movie became a big success, and 3 years later, Beverly Hills Cop 2 came out. And of course, this film took a little bit more of a serious tone. Even though he didn't have a lot of comedic stuff with Eddie Murphy, now he really did over the top comic stuff in the second film. Well, the second film, there was basic plot. The second film was there was this gang called the Alphabet Gang, or the Alphabet Bandits, who do crimes with the first letter of the alphabet, an A, B, C, and so on. And they sent letters to the Beverly Hills Police Department saying, "Oh, here's where A is, or here's where B," and so forth. Well, the cop that's leading the investigation was Bogomil. For the first movie, again played by Ronnie Cox, and then now, for the first movie he was a lieutenant. Now he got promoted to captain. And of course, the two, Billy Rosewood and of course Tagger, were on the same again. Tagger was still a sergeant, and Bogomil and Rosewood was still a detective, I think, in the second film. And of course, the B crime was that Bogomil got shot. And of course, the bandits, one of the bandits was Brigitte Nielsen, who was at that time the ex-wife of Sylvester Stallone. And of course, there was also a scene where Eddie Murphy meets her in a gun shop or gun range, gun club, and he was flirting with her. So how long does it take to save those legs? I mean, some of cool stuff to her. And when he first meets her, he says, "Damn, that's a big bitch." He will say stuff like that throughout the second movie, which maybe in the first movie might have been funny, and this time was not as funny. The bits he did in the first film was kind of funny, but doing the same bits and even more of those bits in the second film was not as funny. Like, of course, the first movie did the banana and the tailpipe routine, with the bit how he got a room in the hotel. This time he pulled the same crap, but instead of in a hotel, it was a private house. And of course, all this other stuff, how he got into the gun shop and how he gun club, and all this other stuff. I mean, it was just ridiculous, in the second film. But with the villains, it was more vicious killers in the second movie than there were in the first one. The second one, of course, unlike in the first movie with Axel's friend dying. Second movie didn't have Ryan Cox's character did not die, and the reason why Ryan Cox was not in this movie all that much was because at the same time he was filming the first RoboCop movie. Because RoboCop came out the same year as Beverly Hills Cop 2, which was in 1987, and he was the main character in the original RoboCop film. So he didn't, he wasn't in the second movie all that much. Not only in the beginning of the movie and the scene in the end, and that's about it. But anyway, the movie was good, and the shootout was even, and the shootout at the end of the movie was a little bit better than the second movie because it wasn't as cartoonish. I felt that was in the first film, and it wasn't as long either. In the first movie, it was a little bit longer. So the second one was a little bit more action oriented. But I'm surprised that 3 guys could haul off all those more guys in the second movie than the first one. But the one in the end anyway, and but the most annoying guy was the new police chief, because the original guy in the first film wasn't there in the second one. So he had this real annoying guy cursing him, yelling and screaming and cursing everybody out. And then of course in the end of the movie he gets fired, the new police chief. And of course the tagger yelled at him and said, "Oh yeah, kiss my ass, kiss mine." You had that exchange in the end of the film. And of course then Murphy yells back at him and says, "Well, I kick your ass later." You have that interaction. So after Beverly Hills Cop 2, it took 7 years for Beverly Hills Cop 3 came out, and it should have been longer. It should have been longer because the third movie was god awful. The third film, and of course the third film, they didn't have the Ronnie Cox character was not in it, and neither was John Ash's character, John Tagger. He wasn't in it because they claimed that he retired. But the truth of the matter was that John Asher was waiting so long for another Beverly Hills Cop movie to be made, he decided to do another movie called Little Big League, which I previously did another review. And in a previous video, I reviewed Little Big League. But in this film, I starts off with playing when Eddie Murphy's character and Inspector Todd trying to bust this chop shop, and during the course of the gunfight with the chop shop guys, Inspector Todd gets killed, and of course they had to see with the funeral and everything, and of course Eddie Murphy promised to bust these guys, and they found out and they went, of course, to Beverly Hills. So that big got tied in the second movie when he went to Beverly Hills, but now in this film it really got tied. But that's what they decided to do. They decided to go back to Beverly Hills again for this time. And of course, he met up with George Reinhardt's character. And now this time he had a new partner with Hector Elizondo, again in this film. So this is like the third film they review with Hector Elizondo in it. I mean, he was a good character actor. But once in a while, when he gets good material, like when he did Pretty Woman, or maybe in Taking Care of Business, he had decent material to work off of. But this movie, he really was an annoying character. And to top it off, they brought back Bronson Pinchot's character, Serge, in the first film, into this one. And of course, they did the interplay with the names, because if you remember in the first film, when you had Bronson Pinchot, he couldn't pronounce Axel Foley's name. He went Ackwell, he did that, and of course he did that again in this film. because at that point, when they made Beverly Hills Cop 3, Perfect Strangers had ended on television. Really, I think like the year before, 2 years before it came out, Perfect Strangers had ended its run on television. So I guess Buster Pinchot had nothing to do, so they brought him into this movie for a cameo. And I guess maybe because people liked him in Beverly Hills Cop, that's where it really got his star. Was in that one. It was in the first Beverly Hills Cop film. So they brought him back for one scene, but the movie itself was awful. They had him running around in an amusement park, which was a cover for the Chop Shop guys. Of course, he gets the guy in the end. And this time they threw in a stupid love story in the end into this movie. This was for the other films, he never really had a love story. He did have his, like I said, in the first film he had his own friend of his they grew up with, and then you had a second movie where you had the Ronnie Cox's daughter in the second film, and this one you just have a random employee who which had no connections to any movie at all from when they were kids or from another case. And that's what they decided to do in the third film, and the third movie was a waste of time. Don't even watch the third film. The second film is watchable, but the third film is lousy. It's a lousy movie. So that's my review of the Beverly Hills Cop series. Please, click on my videos. Please like it. Please feel free to comment on, and please, of course, subscribe to my channel, and please pass on my videos onto your Facebook pages so you can get more views. And thanks for watching.